what's the deal here? It's a vertical, they both are, but one is raved about and the other one isn't. And we analyzed the structure, and turned out it wasn't the fact that there was domestic violence in it. No, the one, basically the bloodier one, had a hysterically happy ending. The one that the Disney Hallmark one that people expect in a vertical. You work towards that reward. You have it every single episode, but you also want it at the end. The other story had a plot twist, which made the viewer unsure of, are the good guys ending up with a very happy ending or not? And that was the difference. People were lacking the reward, basically the dopamine fix, which made them think this one is better, even though there was more violence in it. And the other one is not as good, but it was just different. It was different because it had a plot twist.
Well, this is going to be a great episode. So let me get into the intro. So for those that are listening, welcome. Thank you for listening to Film Directing with Matt Macedo. I am your host. And then I have a very special guest today, the vertical godmother, as she is known very well in the space. And so Jax, yeah, please go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, Jax, obviously, I'm Dutch. I have been in the vertical space since March of 2024, when I was approached by a vertical actor looking for coaching. I was very surprised. I had no idea who he was. I had no idea how he found me, which turned out to be through the International Coaching Federation, where I couldn't find myself anymore, strangely, but he did. And I started exploring his work, started researching what he did. And I thought, oh, what the hell is this? Because I had been coaching people for years, but I had never heard of the vertical space. Was intrigued, though. The people I coach are basically people with a question about selling and presenting themselves. And that can be they have an issue with confidence, can be they just aren't comfortable presenting and need a solution for that, can be that they are not very convincing and need to work on their presentation, as in how to use your hands, how to use micro expressions, how to use your voice. And that's basically what I do. And it can be a CEO having to present their new vision, but who are afraid of getting in front of a big group of people. But could also be an actor who has certain issues with doing different types of scenes, or who has lost confidence during a project. Could also be a director thinking, hey, I have a great idea, but I'm really afraid to pitch it. I'm really excited about it, but I wouldn't know where to start in pitching it to a platform or a studio or whatever. So yeah, that's basically where I come in. And so started coaching one actor and started to meet more people in the vertical space, and thought, oh, this is a great opportunity for people also in the Netherlands to basically build working experience really fast, because of the pressure cooker environment of productions. And people who finish a creative education in the Netherlands, they get a job as an intern as long as they're still in school. But as soon as they finish or get their degree, they're not hired, because then all of a sudden they have too little experience and are too expensive. So I wanted to solve that by getting vertical projects as a work experience type thing, for them to get the right amount of relevant experience within a very short period of time. Started speaking to my network, and one of my actor friends said, he's pretty well known in the Netherlands, and he said, this is commercially very interesting. And I said, I know. We should do more. We should coach. We should do training programs. And then he said, no, we should do productions. I said, okay. So we got in touch with a few people in Holland, with a production background, not vertical, but horizontal, uh, basically the rom-com king of the Benelux and a former Sony international president. And with those guys, we're now setting up a studio type production hub in the Netherlands to do European verticals.
Nice.
And we're in stage now where we're discussing different types of collaboration with platforms. And we have a couple of really great scripts and synopses lined up, specifically to elevate the space and still be very vertical. So it's storylines that are more interesting. It's green flag male leads. It's stronger female leads. It's tailored to feature both vertical stars, but also get new type of people in to make it more interesting, and actually show locations throughout Europe, feature those locations in stories, and that's what we're working on at the moment.
Mm.
So that's also pretty exciting. Yeah, vertical godmother, because that was your original question. Jesus, I'm going all over the place. Um, uh, Last year, I think about 2, 3 months after starting my coaching sessions and more people approaching me, I went to Los Angeles to visit some sets and to have some meetings. And one of the production companies I was in touch with, the producer said, "Oh, I feel like you already know everybody in the space. I'm going to call you the vertical godmother." And then one of my coaches said, "Oh, no, 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 that's a demotion. I'm going to call you the vert goddess." And I thought, okay, this is crazy, but you know what? I'm going to lean into it. It's okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. You should trademark
Yeah.
it. Make some merch, you know?
Yeah.
The vertical godmother. It's perfect.
Yeah, I love it. I love the title now. I mean, it's
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of motherly and it's kind of benign, and I'm
definitely.
still not sure if it's fairy or mafia type. I'm
I lean
could
into the
be.
fairy type, just the magical, like you're providing, some magic for those that reach out and need some help from you.
Well,
So,
yeah, that's what I love most. I mean, I use that network to basically help people. I aside from casting directors reaching out for to train their talents, which we do with a few people globally. I have not charged for a single coaching session in that period of time. I still make more than enough during my day job, basically, and so yeah, I really want to help further the space, make it a safe space, and make sure everybody gets to grow and thrive within the space. So people reaching out, like casting directors and producers, hey, would you know the right cast for this project? And actors reaching out, hey, could you help me with something? Could be a career question, could be something having to do with something really practical. Oh, I'm thinking of getting a tattoo, but do you think I'll get less roles if I have a tattoo? It's. I mean, it can be anything,
sure.
but up to advising them on vocal use and on how they could improve their acting. And I'm not an acting coach. I have partners and people I can like fly into to help there.
Mm.
But yeah, yeah. So now I also do some management type things for a few people just to see if I can get them projects and for the right rates and help them. I'm more interested in helping them look at longer term career goals and how to achieve those, with which platforms to work.
Mhm.
If you're aiming for something, what are your goals? Where do you want to be in like 6 months or maybe even 3 months? Because it's a vertical space, it moves really, really fast.
Very fast.
So yeah, doing a lot and helping out, and that's basically what I love most. Is just using that network and those connections in a positive way to help people grow,
Yeah.
thrive. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And so the title of this episode is going to be Psychology and the Microdrama. And your LinkedIn post inspired this one, especially the title. And I would love to just like dive into that LinkedIn post. So I know it's coming from your perspective of coaching actors and giving them some, advice on
yeah,
how to go about interactions with the fans and even vice versa. Like you're giving advice to fans on how to interact with actors too, because it is such a new format in a very small world, and an act or, the audience has this access to these
Hmm.
creators. And like you were saying before, we're like grateful for, finally being part of a project that gets, some recognition, and it's not just like our family and friends watching something. So we do feel like a sense of obligation to, you know, give them like, thanks for watching in that sense too. And I mean, I'm nowhere near, I do have a fan page actually. So I am just like the actors that have a
Yay!
fan page. It's very sweet. Yeah, they're very sweet. Sandy and Laura, shout out. But, for obviously for directors, we don't get like the type of attention that actors do. So I can only imagine how overwhelming it could be for someone, especially when they're starting, like there's like a lot of 21-year-old actors and actresses, and having like this sort of attention it could lead both ways, And so,
Yeah,
yeah. And so it's
absolutely,
just being,
absolutely.
yeah, for those folks, it's just being mindful of that. And yeah, I can't even imagine like if I'm grateful for that, the whatever kind of recognition that's happening now. Like I'm 31, so I can't even imagine if I was 21 10 years ago and going through what I would be going through now. So it's very fascinating. So it's grateful that you're there, just as a backup plan for anybody that needs some help. Um, but yeah, so like
Yeah,
your LinkedIn post was very insightful. And so I would love for you to just dive into kind of the advice that you were giving and all that.
yeah. Well, a few months ago, we some people reached out with questions about, hey, I'm getting some weirder and weirder DMs, and how should I handle them as actors? Um, and you see fandoms popping up all over the place, and platforms doing reviews and interviews. And as you say, I mean, it is very good that the space is getting more attention and there are more people coming into it. But mostly, these are also fans looking to do something for their stars, and sometimes they go above and beyond what they set out to do. And um, sometimes that's not only positive. I mean, it comes with a type of entitlement sometimes, or even regular fans, vertical fans that reach out to their stars hoping for a response in some way. And once they get it, they start building up, or could potentially build up the sense of having a relationship with someone that isn't real. And what we discovered, so I work with a few of my friends who are a media psychologist, a sociologist, and an anthropologist on this one. And we found that because of how verticals are shot, basically, is one of the things that invites people into thinking, this is really intimate. This person, this actor is here for me. He's addressing me, or she is addressing me directly. And it creates a sense of relationship that doesn't really exist. And then when they have watched their work and go on social media and respond to things, um, sometimes they get a response, or they react to things, or they share things, or make a post or reel, and a star actually responds. And that progresses to sending DMs or tagging someone a couple of times during a day, and hoping for that response and hoping for that relationship. And it creates risks for both sides. And it's really interesting to look at it from a research side, but it is a space that's also much more risky than mainstream media, basically, because there is little distance between stars and fans.
Yeah.
They're very approachable. But imagine you setting up a Madonna fan page and reaching out to her and saying, hey, I'm thinking of starting a fandom for you. I was thinking, if you send me pictures like every 3 days and share everything you usually would share yourself with me first, and I'll do some reels for you. And oh, yeah, I want to send you a present as well. Could you give me your address? That would never happen.
Yeah.
It would
That
never
happens
happen.
here.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because people are closer to each other, and they feel a mutual obligation, or they feel maybe even respect, just because, I mean, the actors feel they need the fans to build up their career, and the fans feel at a certain point that they are needed and they are wanted by their stars, and they need to contribute. But yeah, it comes at a risk. It can evolve
Yeah.
into something that is much less positive than it starts out as. And
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and that's when people start to send, or could potentially start to send, really weird DMs in order to get attention or to
Mm.
create that relationship, or to seek common ground. Ooh, I saw you wrote you went to the dentist. I just had my wisdom tooth out. It's just a silly thing, but I mean, it could
Sure.
be just a death in the family someone
Mm.
shares, or um, it- it- social media can be so dangerous too when stars share current informations, share stuff that actually happens today. So you can basically sometimes see where they are, and they share stuff, or they share stuff that seems current, and fans watching think, oh, I know their lives. This is how they live.
Hmm.
No, this is what they share about their work, their career.
Hmm.
It's not their lives. And they sometimes mistake that. They see this dream, maybe something they would like to also do, or would really love to or dream about, and then it starts to become real. So there are several really interesting aspects which
Yeah.
also make it kind of dangerous if you're not aware of it from
Hmm.
both
Both
sides.
sides. Absolutely.
Yeah, so as
Yeah.
a star, you have to be very aware about what you post, how you answer, how you comment. Do you just like, do you ask questions? I can totally get that if an actor is feeling a little down on a day, it's very easy to start interacting with your fans, um, because of a post you did. But is that really what you want? Do you really like my work? Oh, do you? Oh, it's so cool. The
Mm.
recognition is nice, but you create something and you don't know where it potentially could go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it comes with a type of risk or danger, um, that will grow as the space evolves.
Hmm. Absolutely.
um, yeah, and same for everybody doing fandoms or doing reviews and interviews with the best intentions. They are all not journalists. They are
Yeah.
all not professionally trained to do this. They have no code of ethics to do their job by. So also that comes with a certain risk. But I also get as an actor that you really like to participate, especially when you see familiar faces popping up on a certain platform, and think, oh, wait a minute, I want to be there. I want to be on that Instagram page because X, Y, and Z have also gone on there, and they're really popular at the moment. My face has to be there too. So there's all types of pressure and things going on, and yeah, it's a strange.
Yeah. It's fascinating because it begins as a mutual benefit that can turn into, some mutual destruction there, you know.
Yeah, exactly,
Absolutely.
and that's, yeah. So that's
Yeah.
why a few months ago we created a sort of quick reference guide. How do you recognize red flags as an actor, and how can you handle basically your social media and also interviews or meet and greets
Yeah. Yeah.
when you have them. How do you set your boundaries?
Because
That
life
type of thing, and it's
changes.
really simple. Yeah,
Life's changing for them. And I mean, I'm sure they're used to just posting, family vacations and they're getting to a level now. It's like, are you sure you want to share or tag your family members in a post? And then suddenly now they're, being viewed as by people that they don't even know, or, I made a mistake. Well, it was obviously like last year, or was it this year? I don't remember. I think it was last year or early this year. I did a like a prop giveaway. I mean, because I personally bought a prop for one of my shows. It was these keys, and I had this idea of like, yeah, the actors can sign them, and then I'll just give them away to fans after they
I
do a
remember
review.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And so, as I'm sending them out, I'm like, oh, I have to have my address on these keys. And so, of course, I sent three of them out, or three to the winners. And, part of me was like, oh my gosh, like I have to be mindful of that now. Like I can't do
yeah, yeah.
this, because it's giving out my address. I can't post, videos of the outside of my house showing where I live exactly. So it's just you have to be really mindful of all of that stuff now. And even like if you do live alone and you're on a trip, maybe you shouldn't post that you're away from home, maybe because you never
Exactly.
know if
Exactly.
you're a victim of a robbery or anything like that. So
Yeah.
post after the fact and then you're home. So it's this whole level of just like mindfulness now that has to come, that these actors have to be aware of now. And it's unfortunate because I'm sure you're just, you're welcoming, all this attention that, as an actor, I'm sure seeking,
Yeah,
and
but
it's, yeah.
also feel you need. I mean,
Mm.
it's not just that it comes with the job, and it's nice to get that recognition. But you, at some points in your career, also feel that you need these people. It's sort of like a symbiosis. I'm not sure if that's an English word as well, but it can turn into something else. I mean, you have people trawling old Facebook pages of family members, basically to be able to send a DM to a star to say, oh, you know what, my mom had disease XYZ as well, or not even mention the had it as well, but just suggest that they have some common ground, and someone will start talking. If they're vulnerable, they will start talking, and you will create that bond that isn't really there. So yeah, it that can be very dangerous, or
Yeah.
you have to be aware of it. That's more of the message, especially as you say as well. I mean, yeah, your home, your address, yeah, you have to be mindful of things like that more and more. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely.
Man, interesting time. And so getting into like the psychology specifically of the microdrama. So starting off with like the first episode, like we have to hook the audience within the first like 3 to 5 seconds. And there's definitely some psychology behind that, right? Of the maybe the short attention span now of, post social media and TikTok and all of that. But yeah, I would love your insight on the psychology of like grabbing an audience right away. And like what makes, some verticals successful when they hook an audience right away versus, sometimes when they don't.
It's different, I think, per it's a different topic than the one we were discussing about the media, the social media type things. So now you're just getting an opinion basically, and
Sure. Yeah,
it could be
absolutely.
an
Yeah.
informed opinion, but
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
but
This one's going to
yeah,
be a lot of informed opinions, I think. Yeah. My
yeah,
type of questions.
well, I think the storyline structure is really, really, really important in a vertical drama, and it needs to hit those beats. And everybody knows that. But it also means that within basically the first episode and the second episode, you must have seen something that draws people in a way that they really, really, really want to keep watching. And that can be anything from a romantic type thing to, well, if you look at the more Chinese-based things, it can be injustice, humiliation, someone being misunderstood, the secret identity type thing. But it has to be something that makes people wonder, basically, in 50 episodes, will I have the guy? Will I be rich? Will he take care of me forever? Will we get married and be hysterically happy for the rest of our lives? There are a few elements that keep recurring that are so important to basically be addressed from the first episode. Is there sexual tension?
Sure. Yeah.
And
All of that. Yeah.
that doesn't mean that they all have to be like that, because I do feel that the whole structure and the thing that might make it feel rigid also creates creativity to work within the limits of that format and push those boundaries a little bit.
Hmm.
So get that violence out, get the basically the three rinse and repeat scripts out that are now used, and move forward, and maybe be a little bolder with some careful innovation, making it more Western, see what works for um, both US and European audiences and all the nuances within.
Hmm.
Um, what we talked about before, more green flag male leads. I think that works really well for Western society. Also, a woman that can think for herself and actually express it, so there
Hmm.
aren't that many misunderstandings along the way. I mean, oh my God, if people were to do all their VOs out loud. Wouldn't that be great?
I know. I push for that. I do push for that. Yeah. It's like we don't need a VO here. We could just say it out loud. You know, they're alone. Like they're alone in a room. They could just say it. So yeah, so I mean, uh, we kind of talk about it a little bit. Like, you know, the audience is obviously predominantly female. And I think you even kind of hint at it a little bit. Like we put ourselves, or like the audience is definitely projecting themselves into the audience, or sorry, into the character. And
Yeah,
so they want that happy ending because they're somewhat seeking that in their own life, probably. And so it's interesting,
absolutely.
like setting up the narrative perspective right away. You know, the character's situation, her wants and needs, and you know, making it either relatable in the sense to where the audience, you know, immediately connects with her, or at least they're interested in seeing what her story is.
Yeah, or the chemistry between the two leads. I mean, if there's something interesting going on there, it will immediately catch people's attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably encountered that as well. That sometimes even scenes are pulled forward to episode 1 or 2 just to create that tension, in order to get people past the paywall later on.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
because if it's there and it's there's a suggestion of more ahead, yeah, people will want to watch it because and it depends on the type of viewer and also their location, what they like. Because I mean, you see a lot of um, regional and yeah, differences. So you see some areas of the world where really spicy content is really popular, and you see areas where it isn't, or some areas where a little darker content is more popular. Um, but yeah, it needs to create that tension, and it needs to give a reward. And yeah, basically that dopamine fix everybody needs. I mean, it's an addiction type thing, but
Yeah.
it's more innocent than opening a pack of cigarettes.
That is one of my next thing is like the dopamine loops, you know, created by cliffhangers, and that it's just some primal, you know, it's tapping into something primal, right? That's just our dopamine receptors, and that we just need this fix. It is addictive,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah.
and that's why you see so many people that are a little damaged or have just gone through something in their lives. When they find or click through two verticals, it's a temporary solution to something, or it fills a hole in their lives at that moment. You see so many people who have just gone through something really traumatic in their lives, finding verticals. Could be anything from losing their job to being really ill or losing a family member. I mean, really big stuff happening in their lives, and they're vulnerable. They see this story, it suggests romance, it suggests a happy ending. It suggests affluence, and that's what pulls them in and basically keeps them in, because every so many seconds you get that little hit of dopamine, you get that reward, and you get that or the little scare, or the
Hmm.
oh, I want to know what happens next, or oh, this has to be fixed, this has to be corrected, it has to have a positive ending.
Hmm.
And that's what hooks people in, especially vulnerable people. And it's okay. I mean, if it gives you that reward and it gives you a moment of relief in an otherwise stressful life, well, go for it. I mean, it's better than many other things you could do in a day. But it also comes with a risk of a type of addiction, basically, and whether that
Yeah.
is to the verticals itself or the stars, which we just spoke about
Mm,
before, because that
absolutely.
might be the next step. Like, ooh, I like these verticals. I like this star. Will he like me? Because I even
Interesting.
get DMs of people like, "Do you know actor so and so? And could you please tell him to respond to my DMs because I'm
Wow.
his friend?" Or well, it can go even beyond that. But
Sure.
yeah, he
Yeah.
hasn't responded in a week or in 2 weeks, and I'm pretty sure it's. But we know each other. They don't.
Wow.
So yeah,
Fascinating.
it's really scary how people are trying, and the things they say to reach their stars. So I made a little loop now, but
Sure. No,
yeah,
good. Yeah.
it happens, and it one thing can lead to the other. But still, I mean, finding verticals and finding comfort in them, perfect. Um, why not? I mean, millions of people are doing it and are finding joy there. So why not? And as an actor, um, verticals provide opportunities they might otherwise not have had.
Yeah.
I mean, someone could still be working at a boring office or an exciting office they find boring, uh, um, if it hadn't been for verticals. And now they're full-time vertical actors, and they never would have thought that. And they
Yeah.
might, with the current amount of work in Hollywood, never have gotten there in Hollywood if that would have been their ambition. So
Mhm.
it's cool of everything the space offers,
Yeah.
from all sides, basically. I mean, what would
It,
you have done if the vertical space didn't exist at
yeah, I'd
this
still be doing
point in your
whatever
life?
I know. I'd still be doing the day job. But, what this reminds me of, it's so true that, a lot of these audience members, they're so like susceptible, unfortunately, to like maybe like a fake fan account reaching out to them and like artificially creating some fake relationship there.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
that's where it fuels, it starts with this fake fan account or fake, account and this interaction. And then, just unfortunately some scammer out there making this person genuinely believe that they're being talked to by this actor.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, and then it just goes from there. So it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah. Those are, I find fun because most of the actors I know, and then when someone reaches out from an account, like, yay, I am, or the actor, or the manager of, or mother, or whatever, and try to engage you in conversation. I find it funny, but for fans, it's not funny at all. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't know, and it could very well be their star reaching out, in for all they know. And
Yeah.
why not? I mean, they have been responding to posts, they have been doing reels about that star, or could be. So why not? Why wouldn't he or she reach out?
Hmm. Yeah. Dang.
Because
Interesting
that's
times.
still something that happens in this space. So yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we
But yeah,
mentioned it.
people
Yeah.
are getting scammed.
Yeah. Yeah. Sadly, that's so unfortunate. Um, so something we talked about a little bit, I think we hint at like archetypes and like universal kind of themes that are in these shows, like the CEO or like the betrayed wife and all of that. So it's interesting to think like, do you think that's why these specific storylines and these verticals like resonate with like such a vast audience? Because it kind of is like all universal stories that really anyone can relate to. I mean, obviously they're
Yeah,
very much exaggerated, but in the sense like they're like this fantasy that everyone can relate to.
yeah. But it is a fantasy. It is a fairy. Basically, you have fairy tale stories, and
Hmm.
it is Disney, Hallmark, sometimes the Grimm brothers, all put into one. And I mean, it has been resonating with people for centuries. So why not now?
Yeah,
And every
absolutely.
time scary things happen in the world, people feel the need to retreat into something that is very clear. And it starts out with a situation, a few bad things happen, there are some twists, but at the end of the story, you know it will be okay.
Yeah.
And that is what we're going for. We're going for that happy ending, whether it is a Grimm or Anders fairy tale, or it is an old opera, or it is a vertical,
Mm.
or Hallmark, Disney, uh, anything series. That's basically what we all understand and like, because it is providing you with a very
A sense of comfort.
recognizable.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's
Yeah.
comforting.
It's fascinating.
it's
Yeah.
it's like getting a cup of really good cocoa when on a cold night.
Yeah.
It's comforting,
Yeah.
and you
And it
need
is.
it to have that consistency and that taste, and it needs to remind you of the good old days. And yeah.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating that these verticals can be viewed as an escape. That someone could be going through anything in their life and they want to escape by watching these verticals. And it's fascinating because sometimes, if someone's, like these shows, definitely have some trigger, some trauma in there. And, it's fascinating that it is that happy ending, right? It's that emotional like catharsis and that this journey that they go through that's relatable to the audience watching it, but then that ending that happens has to
Yeah,
be,
And still, there are things on the way of most of these stories, or some of the Chinese-based stories that, well, elements that baffle me that people really still watch. I mean, the whole humiliation scenes, the "oh, I love you so much, I'm going to grab you by the throat." If you're a damaged woman watching a story of basically someone being abused, sometimes even a pregnant lady, I mean,
Yeah.
how on earth can you derive any type of comfort from that? Well, obviously, apparently, it is the happy ending at the end. But those type of things I don't get. I mean,
Yeah.
whether you like spicy scenes or not, that's up to you. But the humiliation, the violence,
Yeah. The
yeah,
shock
I
value.
don't
Like,
get that,
yeah.
especially not for Western viewers. I don't see. I understand you need something to create that dramatic effect, but those type of things, especially when you're when you've gone through things yourself and find these verticals at a moment in your life when you have gone through something and you are
Yeah.
vulnerable, and then still watch the ones, because I mean they're made, there's so many of them produced, and so people click on them, otherwise they wouldn't be still making these stories. I mean, it's the fans basically that dictate
Yeah.
the content and the clickbait titles, and the platforms see it confirmed in their data,
Mhm.
so they keep on doing it. But I don't get, that I
Yeah.
really don't get.
The thing that I try to be mindful of is the kind of just like the emotional manipulation versus like the authentic truth, to where, people like we're probably referencing the same show when a pregnant woman gets like severely beaten, and it has a happy ending, but like the show has like 300 million views or something. Um, it's just, is it there to just for the shock value, or does it work for the story? And I mean, it feels so bizarre, that I have to, in a way, like, am I justifying this abuse because it works for the story? It's a very odd position to be in. Um, but, as someone, as a director, you have to find the truth to it, So is it overdone just because they want, a clip for social media, or does it work within the story, within the characters? So, it's definitely a balance there.
Yeah, and that's a hard one too, right? Because then you see, hey, platform X has, oh, there goes my AirPod.
Oh yeah.
Platform X has done a show, and it's a football show or it's a hockey show, and oh, it's a show with twin babies. Cool. We are going to do a hockey one with three babies. Oh, three babies works too. Look at the data. We're going to do one with six babies. I mean, they keep on like making the same theme or
That's
same
hilarious.
element bigger to just see, oh, if this works, will it work tenfold?
Yeah. And
Will
then
the
they do 10
results be
babies.
tenfold?
They do 10 babies and then like, all right, it's too much. Let's go back to 8. Yeah. It's hilarious. Yeah, it's true. It's so data
Yeah,
driven. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one other thing I discussed with some people in the past few months is, um, there's a lot of looking at the what in the data. What works? Where are the drop-offs? Where do people keep going? Where do we need to tweak the episodes to make them go forward? But do they ever look at the why?
Mm.
Do they look at the why of their data? You can see the moments that things happen, but is that because something didn't work? Or do people keep watching because of a positive effect, or is it a negative effect and they want to see that situation corrected? It has the same end result, but I mean, why do
Hmm.
things happen? Why do things work? Could you possibly do it in a more modern or positive way, and will it still work? And do they look at the why of their data?
Yeah.
I'm really curious.
I
Is
would
it
be curious
harder?
too. Yeah. I would be
Yeah,
curious too, especially if it's like consistent, because sometimes if they do like the same exact show, everything is exactly the same, and one does well and one doesn't. Sometimes there is no clear answer as to why. And I
yeah,
think that might be one of the biggest, factors. especially because like, there's one show like that 30 Years Frozen. Like I know they just came out with a sequel to the one that Tiffany and Adam were in, but um yeah, like when that show came out, like suddenly there was three shows, all at the same time for that one. And yeah, it's just fascinating to see. I mean, and they did that in like Hollywood too, of like there was these shows, I think it was like, like apocalyptic shows of like Deep Impact and Apocalypse or something like that. There was some doomsday shows or doomsday movies that come out around the same time. And so that's
Hmm.
something that definitely happens. And it was the first time too. I think it was the Return of the Unwanted Wife, that show right there. That when they released it, they, after it was already released, they, used some of the data and then reorganized some of the episodes. So I was like, oh, that's fascinating. I never thought about changing. Like once you release it, like it's done usually,
Yeah,
but to be
but
able
in
to
verticals
release
you
it in,
can
yeah,
tweak.
yeah, it's just freedom. It's very interesting. Yeah, very interesting world that we're in.
I've
Um,
been really curious how it would work if you were, for instance, have a production company uh, led by one of the lead actors, and with a show they've written or co-written themselves. And what would happen if you were to release it in two different versions? One, the version that is completely like platform approved, like, okay, it needs to be this structure because our data tells us this.
mhm.
And then the version that is like the creative version,
The director's cut.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And I'd be so curious to know, if you were to promote that, what would work better? Will
yeah,
people go for the comfortable structure, or will they enjoy the creativity of what the people who made it or came up with it intended to do?
yeah.
I'd be so curious to
Me
see how
too.
that would work.
Me too. And they would have to release them like at the same time and just like have
Right?
like
Yeah,
director's cut be on the poster or something like very
yeah.
clear that they're two different versions but same show. I would be fascinated to see that too. Because I mean, there's so many like a show that I just recently did in post-production that should be coming out soon. Like the first episode was about like 3 minutes long, and all our editors are like, "That's too long," and I'm like, "But does it have to be like a minute and a half or 2 minutes?" Because even like before, we had to make our show or episodes like up to a minute, and so the fact that it's 3 minutes long, that is like long of a first episode. And so of course, there's logistical reasons of why they do certain things, and of course, these platforms are releasing hundreds of shows like a month probably. And so they know what works and what doesn't, but it would be interesting because especially like I'm sure people, the audience is craving something new and they're tired of the same old. They have to be. And so
And do
seeing
you
some
want
like
to keep
creative stuff.
addressing, yeah. And do
Yeah.
you want to keep addressing the same viewer base, or would you like to expand into different types of people watching it, which would mean that you would have to adapt and evolve the content as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, because there are more people than just the female vertical viewers.
For sure.
Yeah,
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 absolutely. And I mean, that's one thing that I keep in mind that, these shows are obviously predominantly for the female audience. And so, when it comes to all things, whether it's like the intimacy scenes or regular scenes, I keep in mind, like I'm character driven first, I'm, authentic to the character, but also keeping in mind like the female gaze of what, the female audience is specifically looking for. And then obviously I can't help, but I'm a guy. So my initial interpretation is through the lens of being a man, So, um, I think, I'm very like actually, it's great that there's a lot of female directors and a lot of female crew members in this small space because they obviously needed that. And I do
definitely.
hope, yeah, and I do feel like this should be a space that's predominantly female crew driven. A lot of the, producers that I've worked with and everybody else has been, women. And I love working with strong women too, because my mom's a strong woman. So I thrive around that. Um, but yeah, so I mean, it's fascinating times. But yeah, so we talked about, emotional triggers and emotional manipulation, authentic storytelling, projection, shock value, sense of justice. That's like the ending, we have that sense of justice and that completion. Um, one of the biggest questions, and like I think we touched on it a little bit, and this is like my hope, like to contribute to the space of verticals, and
Hmm.
especially like the scripts that I've written, and even just all my past, short films or PSAs, they've always had some sort of like healing message, some universal, story or message that can leave at least a positive impact on someone. So I do feel like, I feel like partly terrible for a lot of these shows having abuse in them when I myself, grew up in like a household of, alcoholism and abuse. And so it's like, difficult to somewhat go through that, but also,
Hmm.
you know, this mindful, or just being aware that, is this affecting the audience negatively in some way? Is some teenage girl seeing these shows and thinking like that's normal, And I, definitely am not aware of that, if that's happening. But, my main question is, do you think microdramas can eventually be used for healing or emotional education?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think we should strive, especially when we work towards more Western based, culturally based verticals. And I think we are, especially for the US and European markets, moving slowly towards that. I think there will be more stories with that positive outcome, but also with um, a storyline that doesn't require that type of abuse and things, because I can
Yeah.
totally relate to what you're saying. I come from a background. I've been through several instances of abuse and rape, and I've turned it around into a positive. Done talks about it for schools, for women groups and stuff over the years. And I would really like to not see violence towards women in
Yeah.
verticals or towards men, for that matter. I
Yeah. Any
mean,
violence. Yeah.
uh, yeah, and I do get a good fight scene. That's okay. But where
For
the
sure.
power balance is disturbed, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Or it has to be like really fairy tale type stuff. But
For sure.
sometimes it's something that, I mean, I as a viewer feel awkward about and not feel comfortable with. I know that also the actors don't feel comfortable with. I can totally get you don't feel comfortable with, and still the
Yeah.
stuff is made and mass produced because people still watch it and apparently aren't bothered by it
Yeah.
because they keep watching the same thing over and over again with the same abuse. And um, the data tells us that they do watch it.
Yeah.
So that's weird. But I do think, especially with where this space is slowly moving towards, because I think we are slowly moving towards different viewers, expanding viewer base, moving more towards mainstream, basically. I think that will also do something for the type of content that is put out, more Western, more uh, positive,
Yeah.
maybe. Can
Yeah.
still be
Absolutely.
dramatic, but it doesn't need the violence
Yeah.
for shock value. You can do that. You can solve that in different ways. We're creative enough to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And there's so many script ideas and scripts out there that um, will work as a vertical and that can be very successful without all that, sorry for saying it, but crap. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
And I
will
mean,
make it a really good experience for everyone involved, from viewer
absolutely.
to creative. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, like one of the scripts I have written, it's called Love of a Lifetime. And it's inspired by, like my grandparents' lifelong marriage, just being married for like 60, 70 years. And, like that's the type of story that should be shared, of like a lifelong romance. It's a beautiful story, I think. And I'm trying to pitch it around, but it's definitely it's pushing the envelope a bit. It's written as a vertical, like I've written it, this year, so it's not like a traditional horizontal transformed into a vertical. It's, purely a vertical from its foundation, and written as one, with like cliffhangers and stuff like that. But it's very
Hmm.
digestible. Um, and so, yeah, we'll see. I'm out there pitching it around now if anybody's interested in listening.
Well,
Yeah,
it
but
sounds really beautiful. But yeah, what
yeah,
you see in verticals is that although the space is moving and growing really fast, the content doesn't keep up with that. So you
yeah,
do see that I think we're at, well, we've passed vertical 1.5 and we're moving towards vertical 2.0 at the moment. And some are pushing that a little bit, but I still think we're not at vertical 3.0 yet, and
Sure.
we
Yeah.
won't be for some time. It,
Yeah.
it I think, yeah, platforms are trying a lot of different things on what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think, yeah, it will evolve, and even a story like the one you're just describing, which is beautiful. I mean, it will work because you can be, as we said, creative within the structure that it demands. Um,
But
is
it's
the
like, is the
space
space ready
ready
for
for
it?
it? Yeah, you don't know. And is
I
someone
don't
going to
know.
take a risk on investing in it? You don't know.
Yeah.
Could it be a very, very, very big success? Yeah.
You never
Why
know.
not? Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's
But
true.
with every
It's true.
show that's put out, you don't know if it's
Yeah.
going to be successful. They keep rinsing and repeating because that
Absolutely.
generates a certain amount of revenue. It doesn't mean it has to be hysterically successful. It
Yeah.
generates enough.
Mhm.
But is that enough?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And you would think like in an environment where all the shows look the same, sound the same, you can't really tell the difference between any title, honestly. Like, something should stand out amongst, the sea
Absolutely.
of all that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was so happy about. I don't know if you know this, but I was in Ukraine for well, all of September basically, visiting a production company there, and they do write their own originals, and they have other platforms or channels as well for which they make content, and they do it differently, and it's still very vertical,
Yeah.
but they do push the envelope a little bit in doing things that just look better and work better and are more modern and are uh,
Good.
um, yeah, it's great. I mean, and they are really popular on ReelShort and DramaBox as
Yeah.
well. I mean,
Absolutely.
these are their own originals and
Yeah.
they work.
Hmm.
So they show us that it can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to be in the process of getting dual citizenship since my father and grandparents were immigrants from Portugal. I'm going to be getting Portuguese citizenship, and so I'll be able to work
Oh,
in the EU as a local. Yay! It'd
nice.
be interesting.
Oh, that'll
Yeah,
make
fun
all the
times.
difference. That's good to know,
I
Matt.
know,
You
eventually.
promoting yourself?
Again, for anybody listening who wants to hire me, yeah, please. Yeah. Well, thank you,
We did
Jax.
speak
Yeah.
about this before, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jax, so much for spending your time, your evening with me in this interview and chatting all
Yeah.
things vertical and psychology.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I'm all over the place, so I'm very grateful for you keeping me or trying to keep me on track. I hope it made any type of sense.
Oh, for
I
sure.
did enjoy myself, so
Yeah,
yeah.
same. Same.
Thank you so much.
Oh, very welcome. Well, thank you. Well, thank you everybody for listening, for watching. Jax, where can they follow you if you want to, promote any of your social media, LinkedIn, anything like that?
Oh yeah, I'm on Instagram, and my handle is at Jaxeline, so JAXXELINE to make it.
Do you know if the vertical godmother's taken? You're like, I don't want
I
to be
don't
that.
know. It could very well be that I registered it myself, but I'm too lazy to actually start up a new Instagram.
Sure, 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 sure. Hey, that's a good way to, trademark it, I'm telling you. It'd be legendary.
Yeah, might be an idea, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be. It could be. Yeah. Sweet. Awesome. Alrighty. Well, if anybody, yeah, has any questions, please reach out to Jax. Any like actors, producers, directors, even, please reach out to Jax for advice. And yeah,
Yeah,
and it'd
please
be great.
do. I'm happy to help with anything, and I'm happy to help anyone. Also,
Cool.
I'm getting a lot of questions of people who are trying to get into the vertical space, actors, mainstream actors, and yeah, I'm there for it.
Great. Cool. Alrighty. Well, thank you everybody for listening and hope you see you next time.